Yeah,
So
I'm really not versed in it. I was like, Padmasambhava, what? And I'm like,
what?
oh, that's Guru Rinpoche. I was like, oh, now I know. I ran across that, but I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't know that name, so yeah, horrible.
Yeah. So,
And
mhm.
oh yeah, this is so cool because this is one of the thermas. This is one of the hidden teachings that then got revealed,
Mhm.
which is a concept I absolutely like adore. I think that's the cleverest thing ever.
Well, and also I think it relates to um I forget what it's called. Is it the Land of Hungry Ghosts?
Yeah.
Um it relates
Um,
to that belief as well. And there's a lot of interesting. I actually pulled up some materials I was going to show. So, through some like descriptions that I was reading about, there's a lot of connections with the beliefs surrounded around the mandalas
Mm-hmm.
and what those represent. And so this was an interesting little, and it's not that you have to understand these, I think, to get something out of this book, but that it was an interesting accompaniment to the information of how like you have discriminating awareness, accomplishing awareness, mirror-like awareness, equalizing awareness, and absolute awareness, and these five things, and how they relate to what your goals are when you're reading this book to
Uh,
your dharma friend.
okay, that's breaking my brain already, but okay.
Yeah. So no, it was really like I said. So Vajrayana is pretty alien to me. I'm not as learned about the spiritual practices. I find them fascinating when I do take the time to learn about them, but I'm absolutely not as in depth. And then I tentatively started reading about the Tathagatas, the
Hmm.
five wisdoms, which I think are related to what I just read about the awarenesses. Um, all background information that I felt was really supplementary to understanding the book, but not necessary to reading it. Because when you look at Bardot in that, and it's that in between space, I
Hmm.
think at first you're like, I guess I'll read this during somebody's deathbed experience, but there's this lovely sense of the fact that this applies to any in between moment between like when you can stop and I don't know. So like if you're really angry,
Yes.
there's this bardo between the anger and the action coming from the anger where you can stop that action. Um
Yes.
and so I think that some of the teachings in this book are absolutely applicable in those moments and in any in between moment in our day life.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I think the word has a wider meaning than just this
Mhm.
like very specific related to death. All right. All right.
Um
Well, I
hmm?
okay. I was just like I'm just desperately going through the new translation. I'm like, what?
I'll
So I
don't
probably
go
won't
through
be
the
able
new
to help
translation
here.
if it confuses you. Like I said, I was just gonna go through the. I thought these were beautiful. I thought more than anything, I thought it was beautiful on these 3 pages, and so and worth taking the time to kind of look over in a bit. But um,
Oh, actually, are you sharing screen?
I
You are screen.
am I am
Yes.
sharing
Okay.
screen,
Okay. Great.
so you can see
Great.
both
Finally.
translations on my screen right
Yes.
now.
It's
Yes.
good now.
Yeah. Yeah. Find it easier because then I can point to things and be like, I'm talking about this now.
Mm.
Max, how are you doing? I
oh, can
heard.
you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah?
I got a little cut in my lip because it's too dry.
Ooh, gross. I hate when that happens.
Yeah,
Um,
Moisturize.
how are you enjoying your taste of suffering on your face?
tastes like Dharma.
Ooh, fancy.
Love it. Dharma on your face.
Dharma. I've got Dharma on my face.
Yes, dharmas.
Max, have you read this book before?
Hell no.
Okay, Cool
I do
beans.
own it, however, so there's that.
I have read it about 3 years ago,
Mhm.
and I don't think I retained too much. Also, I was, I didn't know a lot of the terms back then, so I just kind of,
Yeah.
glazed over a lot.
There is definitely the need to understand a lot of vocabulary and what that vocabulary means.
Yeah.
Also, in the translation I chose, and once again, I chose it because it was free and easily shared with everybody. You know what I mean? So, like, I didn't want everybody to go out of their way to buy a translation or something.
Yeah, that's great.
Um, and so it uses a lot of, like, that language of, like, herein lieth
Yes.
the setting face to face. And I'm like, wow. And then you look at the other translation, and it's still in that kind of poetic, old feeling language, but a little more flowy, I think. For instance, this line, "Oh, alas, alas, fortunate child of Buddha nature, do not be oppressed by the forces of ignorance and delusion, but rise up now with resolve and courage." I don't know.
What does it correspond to from the other text?
So
It
I
just doesn't.
haven't spent. So I only just started looking at the other translation this morning. So I haven't 100% lined them up yet, because what I know about the translation that we're looking at is it's not a complete translation. It's like a chunk of what's the Bardo
Oh,
Todal, and
okay.
and
Oh,
then the translation I linked, and you'll notice it's 596 pages versus 59 pages. So that should give you
Yeah.
like a good sense of
the other one has a lot of the introduction and
yes.
yeah, still.
So there's a lot that's different. I'm hoping by next week I'll have a more one-to-one notes for you guys, like this page and this page have mostly the same information or something. Um, but I just haven't had the time this morning to do that yet. Um, so I found the book interesting in that it is very much a manual.
Hmm.
Uh, you get these very interesting verses appear that you're supposed to read to the person who is in these moments of in between of dying, and short of that to the corpse who was passed on. And I found that interesting. Like getting into the context of when to use this was really interesting. And I think it talks more about, if there be no corpse, then the bed or the seat to which the deceased has been accustomed should be occupied by the reader. So, like, even if you're the person whom you want these to be given to, these opportunities, this reading and this teaching, it being, enlightenment through hearing, you can just go to their their bed, or uh, like their desk or their studio or wherever like they were accustomed to being most in their waking life,
Mhm.
and read these things for them. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
That would almost make you think that this is, in a big part, something that you do for yourself, not
Yeah.
just for the other person.
Mhm.
Um, or maybe they just did that because people would be sad and devastated if they couldn't be physically present with the corpse, and so they gave them a chance to like still practice this. I don't
But
know.
it's also maybe an act of consolation to the grieving.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think it absolutely has elements of that. But there does seem to be this genuine belief that it's an important right to be given. Not unlike the last rites, I
Sure.
think, of the Catholic faith.
Hmm.
See,
Um.
but yeah, yeah, because you are basically, you're not grieving really. You are doing a service
Mhm.
to somebody else. Like you're focusing, trying to accomplish something, right? So it's a completely different attitude.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. Um. I found it was interesting, and some of the information I found was effectively that ideally you want your teacher to read this for you if you're passing on, or you want somebody who is like your brother or sister of the faith. Short of that, you want somebody of the same faith. And short of that, anyone who will read it clearly and enunciate well, it will do. Like, like they obviously have a hierarchy of preference, but they're like really anybody who can read out loud will do.
Read, yes.
And I thought that was kind of funny.
It's notable.
Yeah, that's cool. Hmm.
I mean, considering how few people could read, that makes sense.
I guess back then, yeah.
Gregory would like me to introduce the parallel from the Catholic Church that the last rites don't have to be presented by a priest either. They too can be presented by any Catholic.
Huh.
Yeah.
Could they be presented by atheists who can read?
I don't know that far, but you effectively can do that here with the Bardo Todal. Anyone who can read out loud is qualified to read the rites for somebody. Um,
Crazy.
then,
Yeah, keep going, keep going.
I was just gonna say I do appreciate it attempts to talk more about the like what does this mean? What is it? But then it's like the Trinity, and I immediately have a colored lens of my experiences with Christianity that I'm like, I don't think that's the Trinity they mean. And I was
I
like,
thought
are
that
they?
one as well.
Does it mean the
Yeah.
three treasures? What?
Uh, uh, I th- this is Mahayana stuff, so yeah. But there's like what three bodies, three
Mm.
Buddha bodies. I think that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like the
Is it on
Dharmakaya.
the thing?
What?
Is it on the page you're showing us? Okay.
I can't leave permanent highlights on these pages like I can when I'm using the other program. So
Yeah, I have no idea.
This is
Oh,
not.
wait. This is the Buddha, the Sangha, and the Dharma.
yeah, that's what I was wondering if it was referring to the three treasures. Yeah.
I'm not sure. It could be. There's many things of that are three of them, right?
Yeah.
Like there's the numbered discourses which lists like bazillion, right? But could be. I was thinking it was maybe like the other like the three bodies, but I'm trying to find it.
Would you be more likely to worship the three bodies or the Buddha, the Sangha, and the Dharma?
Probably the latter. Yes, you're right. The three vajras. That's yet another thing, namely body, speech, and mind.
Mm-hmm.
So that's yet another thing. There's three kaya, three bodies. Ah, so yeah. But okay, let's say it's the simple one, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. But they are not a trinity. See what I mean?
I mean, nothing is explicitly defined as a trinity in this way. The translation's a little.
Yeah. That's
Wonky.
why I'm
Yeah.
interested to dive into this other translation more over the next week or two before our next meeting, and I think I'll be able to help encourage y'all to read more
Yeah, that thing needed like
specifically.
a note,
Yeah.
a little
So
hyperlink
the
to
other
that being fun.
translation definitely has a lot more notes in it. So once I get a sense of like where is this in the other book, I think I'll be able to help more. Um Repetition is always a big part of pretty much any Buddhist tradition I've seen, and so you have to read these things either 7 or 3 times.
I found it funny.
Yeah.
If you can do seven, I think that's probably what they meant.
It's like 7 is ideal, but you know what? 3 will suffice.
Yeah.
Then we kind of have like a index, if you will, of everything we're going to go through throughout the meetings. Um,
Yeah.
this is why I chose like page numbers though, instead of trying to tell you guys like sections to read, because trying to be like we're gonna read this header and then only this far into the other header or something like that, or like certain sections were so long that I was like I don't want to make tell anybody to read that much all at once, you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm. So the part one is about the symptoms of death in the first stage of the Chikai Bardo. And oh, here we go. This is where it is. It is best if the guru from whom the deceased received guiding instruction can be had, but if the guru cannot be obtained, then the brother of the faith, or if the latter is unobtainable, then a learned man of the same faith. Or should all these be unobtainable, then a person who can read correctly.
Yes.
just, I just think that's funny. A person who can read is good enough. I'm sorry to fixate on that. It just amuses me.
Oh,
Um, trying to think about what's good to talk about. This such a, it's pretty dense text. And but I think if you're open to it, it's got good stuff in it.
the thing that kind of caught my attention, I think the talking about the left and right nerve and stuff like that,
Mm.
that's like yoga, right?
Mhm.
So that's wasn't the guy who brought it wasn't Guru Rinpoche like also doing yoga? Or is there some sort of crossover? I don't know. It's that's not like purely Buddhist idea in my mind.
Mhm.
Um,
I mean, there's a lot of crossover with Hinduism. They're both
yeah.
dharmic oriented.
So yeah.
What here is this what you're talking about? The lying posture of a lion,
No, no. There's like I think that I
turning one
no
over
no
on the
no.
right side.
It was higher up. There's like the idea is that you have like a left and a right nerve, and there's like a central column going in between, which is
Oh,
related to
yeah,
the
there it is.
prana and nadis and stuff like that. And so I think the idea is that like your life energy is starting to move through this, and you
Mhm.
need to direct it to go the right way, so it goes where it should go, and not
Mhm.
where it shouldn't. Which involves actually like compressing their like veins and stuff, and yeah.
Mhm.
So that's a yogic thing. And so yeah, they basically try to set their mind in a specific state so that they focus on what they should focus, and so they go through the process properly.
So this is the actual part you're supposed to read to after doing the nerve stuff that you're talking about. Um,
Yeah.
O nobly born, so and so by name. The time hath now come for thee to seek the path. Thy breathing is about to cease. Thy Guru hath set thee face to face before the clear light, and now thou art about to experience it in its reality in the Bardo state, wherein all things are like the void and cloudless sky, and the naked, spotless intellect is like unto a transparent vacuum without circumference or center. At this moment, know thou now know thou thyself and abide in that state. I too, at this time, am setting thee face to face.
This is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this is the sort of stuff I would like to hear, right?
Yeah. It's beautiful. It is. It's the
Hmm.
and I
I'd
think
like to hear something less stilted than this.
yeah.
Well, no, no, no. I mean, they would use like, use the better translation, of course,
Yeah,
right?
use the better translation.
This would probably just make me annoyed while I'm dying.
Why are you
So I,
reading me this contrived crap?
Multiple times you're saying this. I heard it the first time. Thank you.
No, 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 don't do it the 7 times. It's fine. It's
I
fine.
get it. Can you not see I'm dying?
I'm
Please don't stop me.
dying. Please stop.
see, but this is like then the breathing is about to cease. So the person is like still conscious. They are just like actively dying right now. They're
I'm
listening
sorry.
to
I don't
that.
mean to laugh. I'm terrible. Uh,
So I would probably
That's
like
right.
to hear it
Judge
unchecked.
yourself, Destiny. That's what it's about.
yep.
Yeah.
I'll throw self-compassion to the wind and just really dive into to judging
No,
myself.
I can just see you at the deathbed, like recalling this conversation and just like starting to laugh.
I would. That's exactly what I would do. Like I would just laugh, and they'd be like, "What are you laughing at?" I'd be like, "It's too complicated. Don't worry about it." And they'll just hear me mumble something about Bardot, and then I'll die.
All right.
That's exactly how it would go, Bob.
Unfortunate. But I guess it could have been worse. So, yeah. Humor is important.
I've been known to laugh in the face of grievous injury on my person before, so I'm not. You joke, I think, but that's exactly what'll probably happen. I
Worse than that.
I think I've explained. I told this story before. I used to do boxing lessons, and I had a bad habit of laughing when I would get punched in the face.
Wow.
Which, by the way, is not allowed for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not allowed to punch in face.
You're
or
not
to
allowed to laugh
Oh,
when you get punched.
they got their priorities wrong.
There.
Harder to fight if you're laughing.
It
It's
is
not,
harder.
It's not incorrect. That's a good rule.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
it's a
hard,
good
yeah.
rule, but it was hard to follow.
If you're trying to fight and you just start laughing, well, now you're getting beaten up.
That's an interesting reaction. I wonder how that is.
I mean,
It's an
I've also
anxiety reaction.
it's an anxiety reaction. I've done it. I laugh too if I've like really hurt myself and I'm bleeding. I just start laughing.
Okay, that's fair.
It's happened like most of my life. I
That's
remember.
fair.
Yeah.
It's just I guess a professional boxer would not feel anxiety when being beaten.
Or one with anxiety would not become a professional boxer.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah, both.
Both.
Oh my God! Yes, there's the thing, the Brahmanic aperture. What on earth?
Hmm?
It's on. It's a higher up, down, 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 down. Right, 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 right. Up, up. Right, right, right. Brahmanic aperture. Right, down, right. Yes. What is that? Also, Brahma?
Yep.
Oh no, it's like
Brahman.
Brahman.
Priest.
Okay, okay, fair. Okay. Is that like the third eye?
Brahmanic aperture.
Yeah, like these things just trip me up. I don't think I'm supposed to know what it is, but aperture of Brahma. It's oh wow, they don't have HTTPS in Tibet.
Opening. It's an
8
opening
fingers above
at the
her
top of
hairline.
the head, 8 fingers above the hairline. It is the
So it's on the
terminal
bottom.
cranial aperture.
crown
Oh,
chakra.
it's that
Oh,
smushy
okay.
bit.
What? I don't have a smushy bit on my skull.
Yeah, 8 fingers above your
No,
brow
8
line. Oh,
fingers
I
above
do.
my what? 8 fingers above my hairline. Okay, I have very high hairline, so I don't have I don't have even 8 fingers to go there. So I guess I'll never know.
Why the
It's just the top of your
hairline?
head.
Yeah, it's
Very
just
top of
yeah,
the
it's
head,
just the
right?
very top of your head.
It's the 7th chakra.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be smushy, isn't it? Where the bones are like fused together. There's like a joint.
It's not
Not
supposed to be smushy.
Yeah.
Look,
Okay.
I've had head injuries.
Okay. Yikes. All right, we have figured that one out. That's cool.
All right, now we know. Look at us learning.
I think this must be an older text. I think if somebody translated it like more recently, they would probably use different words.
That's
But
why it's free.
fair.
Yeah.
See, there it is. Dharmakaya.
Mm-hmm.
Infallible
Infallible mind of the Dharmakaya. At this time, the first glimpsing of the bardo of the clear light of reality. So it's like stage 1 of everything's happening.
Expiration.
Consciousness principle hath fainted away. So I think that's the exact moment you're dying.
Tranquil. This was very yeah. I stopped at this one as well because they basically said that people who experience jhanas which I think what dhyana is, right?
Mhm.
Uh, actually can stay in this state longer than evil people
Yeah.
who do it like in a snip of a finger or something like that.
Mhm. I thought that was
Um,
an interesting belief.
There's a lot of interesting beliefs in this one.
well, let's assume it's not a belief. Let's say it's real. That
Mhm.
would basically mean that getting into jhana actually does something physical to your brain so that it functions differently.
Hmm.
You know,
That is true. That's not even belief related.
okay,
Uh,
Mhm.
attaining different jhanas does change your brain.
Yeah.
there you go.
Like they can put people I think who practice meditation regularly through an MRI scanner and they just have different skills or they can activate things longer or more efficiently in their brain.
Mhm.
People that have been meditating for years, um, their brain waves when they aren't meditating look like the brain waves of someone who's new to it that's just actively meditating. So their
Ah.
passive state is a level of meditation.
Wow.
That's perfect.
Yeah, so under these circumstances, we can entertain the possibility that in these moments their brain might transition differently. Hmm. Interesting.
There was a part about like liquids coming out of their orifices, which
Yeah,
was
that's here at the bottom.
disturbing.
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of squeamish, like.
I mean, is it like that's not like decomposition or anything? Like, what's going on? But maybe I don't want to know. It's fine. I've just is it something you induced by this, or is it something that like is normal? Or I never heard of it, so
Yeah, here it is. It's right here for you. There you go. Enjoy,
yellowish liquid.
enjoy vomiting.
Yeah,
um, I would need to do a little more looking into it, but I know one source I found described it as pus
fun.
coming out of somewhere in the body.
So the way that they thought death happened is interesting, and like the description of physicality and organs and nerves is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder how much of it is relevant because medically speaking, this
Mm-hmm.
isn't a very accurate picture of death. Um, but does that really matter?
Mm-hmm.
One would
Yeah, I
think it
guess
does.
I think this was mostly meant as do this until just as a measure of time,
Mm-hmm.
like how far in the process you are. But you're right. Like who cares about the physical stuff, right? That's not really the important
Like,
part. Right? The important
like
part
if you're using the death process um
walk.
as a meter of some kind of like, okay, we're here, so we should be at this process, this part of the process. Um, or is it just this is
Mm-hmm.
how much time I have left before it's over?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would think that from the yogic perspective, like they actually think that there's like movements of energy going through the nerves and stuff like that. Like so it's actually like a physical process
Mm-hmm.
what's happening. It's not just that you're like, well, I don't have a clock and I need some way how to measure 5 hours, so let's look for yellow liquid appearing. I don't think so.
Hmm.
Right. No, I think you're right that there's absolutely a part of it like, okay, now I have to do this to make sure the body continues to die the right way before it gets reborn and starts the cycle all over again. If I don't do it right this time, we're going to have to wait.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. I think this part is a good little. chunk of, even if I cannot realize it, yet will I know this Bardo, and mastering the great body of union in Bardo, will appear in whatever shape will benefit all beings whomsoever. I will serve all sentient beings, infinite in number as are the limits of the sky.
Huh. That's got some Mahayana feel to it.
Yeah, so
Alright.
I mentioned that to Bala was mentioning is very Mahayana feeling overall, but the presumed author of this text is he was a teacher of Mahayana and Vajrayana. So it's interesting to see
Right.
how those elements are coming together
My
here.
understanding is that Vajrayana is an offshoot
Mhm.
of Mahayana, and I think some people use the word Mahayana as like not Theravada.
Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
tough.
I could see.
The
Yeah, I could see
Rinpoche.
that. Too many words, guys. Too many words to know, as far as I'm concerned.
Reverend Sir, now that thou art experiencing the fundamental clear light.
Reverend Sir, now that
I
thou
just
art
want to say this
experiencing
to people.
now thou art experiencing. So this really is just emphasizing being in the moment of the experience through this transition, and that to have a clarity of mission, so that should you enter rebirth, or as you enter rebirth, to come through with this intent of having intention of I think reducing suffering, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. I think who was saying that? Ramdas or someone? He was talking like, okay, so you're this lama and you're dying,
Mhm.
and you remember this happy thought that you saw like a deer grazing, when you were young, and it was like a pleasant picture. And that one little remembrance and lost lack of focus makes it so that you get reborn as a deer,
Hmm.
right? And so it's super important to keep really focus
Mhm.
on the right stuff during this process.
Mhm.
If
But
that's
I don't know where it came from. I don't know what
Mm.
it,
teaching that is.
right, if things were that flimsy, then merit has no meaning whatsoever if you can just think of a thing and become it
Mhm.
on your dying like day. If you're a
No.
priest and you've accumulated good merit through your efforts and your whatever, then thinking of a deer, why would you be reborn in the animal realm rather than, say, the Deva realm?
I don't know the context. I just remember hearing this,
Mm.
and I'll have to look it up and see where it came from, really.
You see
Uh,
what I'm saying?
yeah. Yeah, but you're right. You're right. That's not how it's supposed to work, right?
Yeah. Don't become a
Okay,
deer.
okay, okay, okay. So if that's how it's supposed to work, why bother with entire Bardo Thodol? Because you have your karma, you have your merit, just burn it, right?
Bala, you just hit the nail on the head. That's kind of where I'm coming from with the whole thing. Like, this is. I mean, it's interesting. I just don't see the point.
Yeah, yeah. I think Bala made a good point earlier that it feels a lot like this might actually be more for you than the person who's dying.
Right.
Um, and is where I may lean towards switching to the other translation for the next meeting, because it becomes more about historical context, which I think is a little more interesting information.
That would definitely be useful because, as it
Um,
is, I'm looking at it with a little bit of a stink face.
No,
um,
that's I think what we are talking like. I think isn't this explained kind of at the very beginning? Like, there was like a section that was about motivation. Didn't they explain it at least a little bit? Most famous, yeah, that's Padmasambhava. No, no, no. This is just about the book. Um, like, why are we doing this? They explained that, didn't they? Yeah, I think it's what you were just looking at, higher up. Transference of consciousness principle. All the most shouldn't be liberated. Um,
they believe that by remembering this, in those intermediate states and moments of death, it would
Yeah,
give
yeah.
you automatic liberation.
They literally say that this matters a lot,
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, is
right?
this like the prelude to Pure Land?
I'm not sufficiently learned, but I guess Pure Land did come later, and this came before, so maybe.
'Cause, I mean, I can just see how they would easily have that come out of this as a practice, considering the idea of like, well, there's this other realm, and if you do this one thing, you'll be good. And I mean, I'm not saying that Pure Land and the Bardo state are the same thing, but I can see how one would easily arise from the other. Like, well, I guess in the Bardo state, if you do this, you'll be good. I'll make this Pure Land that's like the same thing, but you don't have to be dead to do it. That's easier, right?
Right. I mean, I have even seen there's like a mantra. What was it? It's like a mantra. You just like see it or read it once,
Uh-huh.
and it's automated liberation.
The Amitabha, uh, I forget what
Uh,
it's called.
it's like Asha Samaya Samaha, something like that. I'll try to find it. Asha Samaha. I think that's the one. And what is it? 6 syllables of profound meaning. Uh, Never mind. Sorry, I don't want to distract you.
Oh no, you're fine.
Uh, 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 uh.
I highlighted something.
You did
I win.
it.
Ah, it's a secret mantra. What? Oh, sorry. Oops.
um.
I can't find it. I'm sorry. I thought it was this one. I'll look into it. And I can share it later. Oh, but there was a mantra that literally works like this. Like if you are fortunate enough to read it once, kaboom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I can't remember who said it and in what context. So I'll look into it later. Oh my God, there's so much stuff online that's so misleading. Oops. Do not practice this without transmission from qualified master. Okay. Uh,
I'm
all
not a
right. Let's
qualified
let's
master.
let's,
I'm sorry.
let's just drop this. Let's just drop this entire line of inquiry, and you know, let's not.
Huh.
Oh yeah. Recite this mantra to liberate those who are born in the lower realms. You can place the mantra on dying body to purify that being's negative karma and transfer
Mm-hmm.
the consciousness to a pure land or a higher realm.
Huh.
So you like put it on their body
You just
in
lay
a
it on
ritual
them.
form. Yeah.
Huh.
So there's a lot of like really powerful things.
Yeah.
Um yeah. Okay, sorry for the derailment.
No, it's fine.
Oh, what did you highlight? Buddhist gonna
Yeah. So I was reading through the.
uh,
This is one of the
okay.
introductions, and it's just giving a summary of some of the more the philosophies around the more spiritual views of Buddhism's belief on death and transitioning. So I was
Capacity for retention. Okay, I'm kind of through then.
I thought this was interesting in that, on the other hand, in the case of someone who dies a sudden death, so like versus somebody dying of a prolonged death, so for instance, somebody who has Alzheimer's, they view that as a potential for like actual spiritual capacities to be lost. And I think that's interesting. Like you,
What?
even if you reach enlightenment and then you get like dementia, it,
That's bad.
it's gone. I guess I don't know.
I guess that makes sense.
And
Because from this point of view, like if you cannot have the right thoughts at the right moment,
mhm.
yeah, and tough luck.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm
Anyway,
back.
so as I said, I think we'll probably switch to the other book, but instead of reading the whole thing, I'm gonna try to go through and find like, um, I suppose good discussion pages. I don't know how to describe it. um,
This whole thing is I actually ran into it a lot with my wife because we do the wildlife rehab,
yeah.
and people here react to death in
Mhm.
a very different way that, let's say, Tibetans would, right? They just consider it very differently.
Yeah.
And so this just comes up like all the time, like
Mhm.
this sort of like different attitude. Um, which here basically like like you're essentially helping somebody go through a process
Mhm.
that has potentially like this wonderful outcome, right? And so
Mhm.
that's something completely different from being grieving and just panic or like that sort of stuff
Mhm.
that people usually go through. Suffering, right?
Well, I think like many spiritual traditions, it gives you the opportunity to see something beautiful in place of something painful, right?
True.
So, I don't know. Maybe that's too oversimplified. I
I don't think it's just like lipstick on a pig or something. It's really
No, I don't think it's like lipstick on a pig.
sorry, that's
No, no,
that's not how
no.
I brought it in the
I
context.
I guess I see it more like I generally see a lot in Buddhism, which is that it brings you into the moment and the reality of the moment more than it.
Well, no, no, a moment, everyone. This is just a part of everything, right? This
Yeah.
this is like a long continuous process, right?
Mhm.
So it's a transition state. It's not like the end final stop, or something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It's Bardo. It's the intermediate.
By the way,
It's
yeah,
where are we at?
go ahead. Sorry.
Hypothetically, we were actually all the way down on 7 over here on the left. For those just joining us, the left side is the technically assigned text, pages 1 through 10 of the document. However, we've got another translation that's been made available to us that includes a lot more historical context, annotations, and seems to be a more clear translation. It's at least more modern. And so we're considering switching to it. But I've got to figure out the information because if you look at the page count, you can see it is significantly longer.
Mm. As in 10 times,
Yeah,
Oh wow,
pretty
yeah,
much
it's like
exactly.
hundreds of pages as
hundreds
opposed
of
to
pages
60.
longer, which is substantial.
Yeah, I would say independent of like I think it provides good context, but I don't know. I was good with reading what was assigned.
Well, so that's why I went that route. I was like, oh, this will be a lot easier. We'll just read.
Well, I mean, I read it. I realized I don't know English because there were words that like I've never heard in my life.
I thought I knew English and I was wrong.
Yeah, the other one definitely reads much better.
It does. It reads a lot easier for sure. But they're both available in the chat for people who are like, yeah, you know what? I want to spend all week reading. That's fine too. Um, so we were getting past the yellowy pus part of the Tibetan Book of the Dead on the
Why are
left.
you like this?
Why am I like this? um, and getting over here into this interesting description of the symptoms of Earth sinking into water.
Right.
And these are the symptoms that you observe in the person with whom you are trying to apply these rites. I'm going to call them rites. It seems just a procedure, maybe. I don't know. Funeral rites feels appropriate, like in my culture, but I don't know if that's a one-to-one comparison or not.
Well, like you are in a room with a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not burying them yet.
Right.
So
They're sick. They're like, Des, help me reach enlightenment quick.
yes. I think I don't remember from the previous reading. I think like all the different elements like eventually disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess Earth goes first.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's the first stage of many. This is actually a really complicated process.
Oh yeah. Well, you get into the part eventually where they go into this other realm and they need to be like encouraged to do this chant over and over and over again until they come out the other side of someone's womb.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Let's get to it later.
That's later in the book. Let me tell you.
Liberation was specifically to not do that, but okay, whatever.
Well, that's ideal, but the reality is they know a lot of people aren't going to be liberated, so they got to prepare you. They're like, we all know you guys flunked your homework. nobody's turning it in. We're going to prepare you, lazy bums.
Good point. Like, you study this for yourself, not just to give it to other people, but so you yourself are prepared.
Yes.
And you know what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you a little bit better.
Well, and in essence, and I might be jumping too far ahead, is that it's ultimately there's going to be many manifestations of your mind, and when you can make that separation after you enter that space of what's manifesting from your mind with the reality, and I don't remember the special word associated with that, then you get released from it. But that's later. I need to stop skipping ahead in my brain. Clear light, pure reality. Oh, I like this. O nobly born, thy present intellect, in real nature void, not formed into anything as regards characteristics or color, naturally void, is the very reality, the all good.
Yes.
An instance where the other document might provide more context.
Yeah, but as I mentioned, I only started reading the other document this morning, and so I haven't had enough time to like one-to-one it, like what page correlates with this.
Oh yeah, no worries.
And I hope for next week I'll have time to not next week, the next meeting in 2 weeks. I'll have some time to one-on-one it, so hopefully we can get some clearer interpretation of these segments that we're going over. The union of the two of your own conscious, and I think the formed reality is Dharmakaya, which is a state of perfect enlightenment.
It reads its consciousness and intellect.
Okay.
Are inseparable. So like consciousness is not formed into anything, and intellect is shining and blissful.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but my understanding is that Dharmakaya is like Buddha's body, which is like the Dharma body. So, yeah. Yeah, okay, they say it right below there. Yes, great. Yeah, it's there, right there. Cool. More Buddha body of reality. Yes. The Buddha body of reality, Dharmakaya. All right. Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya. Yes. Those are the three bodies. See, this is all Mahayana, right? So
yeah. Dang it, I was trying not to do a Mahayana book.
No. Stop. Let's say it's Vajrayana. It's Vajrayana, it's fine.
I was trying so hard.
I mean, and that's a good thing, right? It's good that there are similarities. Like, it's all Buddhism. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh,
What was the other
oh yeah,
thing?
and Nagarjuna. Yeah. Oh my
All right. So, Chels, you've shown up to probably one of the most stilted conversations we've ever had in book club. Um, the we've definitely had meetings where it's been very like back and forth, like active conversation and debate.
Yeah,
Um,
this is one of the rough ones.
this is a rough one. So,
Because I don't do this, right?
yeah.
Like, hmm.
Yeah, I don't do this either. Here, let's go to page 10. See
No,
what's
I
going
was
on
I
over
was
here.
hoping that somebody would like magically like appear and like give us a sermon. No, I mean,
That would be great.
talk
Can
on
somebody who knows what they're talking about show up and just explain everything beautifully? That would be
maybe about
awesome. What am. Mm, I don't know. I'll think about it. I've got time to think about it. I don't need to make a decision right now. So the living have been set to the opportunity of enlightenment, I believe, by their guru, is what some of this section is saying. And that when you're familiar with these teachings, like Bala was saying earlier, that and that this instruction is absolutely necessary
Mm-hmm.
to Okay, so in the second stage of Bardo is when the intellect is awakened, which I think is mentioned over here. So we have that connection.
So I'm not sure like where I'm allowed to chime in or not, or like
Anywhere
what.
you want.
Okay. So what is most interesting to me is this um, recognition of ailments that
Mhm.
deprive a person of their lived experiences, or
Mm.
I mean the whether it be something like Alzheimer's, where people are literally losing
Mhm.
parts of their memory and identity, and so are not able to maintain
Mhm.
what they've achieved so far, um, or things where the ailment, the suffering is so great from it that it becomes necessary for the teacher to provide them these resources to, as best they can, help them navigate this end of life where they don't have access to the states that they were in previously. So I found that very interesting that this book, this text, and I'm not sure when it's from, but it managed to grapple with that.
Mm.
Right.
Buddhism seems pretty well disposed for, or rather towards, caring for people with like illnesses, whether it's mental or physical or whatever, and just in terms of like not in a comprehensive we understand mental health and mental illness kind of way, but like a, oh, you can't think so good anymore because you're so old and ill. I recognize that. I'm not going to have you, rest on your own merits and knowledge to do this. I'll do this for you because I see that you're struggling.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and I guess for a lot of like, I guess is the problem with any sort of um, mainstream representation of in a religion, you don't get that in terms of like how it's presented to people. It's much more targeted at the self, I guess, in the West, as opposed to um, like how you can deal with your suffering, as opposed to how we can take on and help for those who are end of life.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, you don't see that concept come up much, really, anywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah, not here at least.
I think that was an excellent point. Yeah, so pretty much in these meetings, it's meant to be more of an open discussion format. Sometimes it ends with me or Max doing a bit of a lecture, but only unintentionally. It's not necessarily.
It's always unintentionally, yeah.
They both just like to ramble.
We do.
We do have extroverts.
True.
Occasionally.
No.
No. Bala has never gone on a rant ever.
Rant? What?
No, I'm kidding. Rant. I use rant as a general term, not necessarily as an aggressive one, right? You go on a TED Talk sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, here, let me present my expertise in this one niche
Yeah.
area.
If I had expertise, I would happily do that, but
Effectively, I think that ends our discussion over this first chunk from the original translation we were looking at. I had mentioned looking over pages 51 and 53 of the other translation if you're interested, and mostly because I found it beautiful more than I thought it super related to the exact part we were looking at. And just to do this first part, oh, alas, alas, fortunate child of Buddha nature, do not be oppressed by the forces of ignorance and delusion, but rise up now with resolve and courage, entranced by ignorance from beginningless time until now. You have had more than enough time to sleep, so do not slumber any longer, but strive after virtue with body, speech, and mind.
yeah, it's beautiful.
So I think this whole chunk, if you have time today or this week, just read those. If you want, read those pages. Obviously, the entire second translation is very flows really well, so it's generally worth the read, but it's much longer.
Preliminary practice.
So, yeah. Any other cool comments, y'all?
Buddhism is awesome.
Buddhism is amazing. Um. Yay.